Okay, greetings, everyone out there. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I decided that I really I don't like to, when I'm giving important information, especially when there's legalese, and when you're looking at history in time regarding traditional customs and norms in intercultural realities and experiences interpersonally. I really like to do research. So that's kind of why I've been holding back. I have been putting output in terms of the lectures that I like to cover. And regarding the time, because time is of the essence, that I have before I shut down my account. Hopefully, I'll be able to produce some within the Instagram account in terms of the promotions. But again, as I said, time is of the essence. Number one, I'm doing this for free. Number two, I have my life to live. And number three, now I have some employment demands coming in. So that's going to be focused my time. And I love to do, like I said, I love to okay player when it comes to social media, because when you have like once the military has utilized the internet and things like this, then they release it commercially and publicly, and then we get to utilize it. But that doesn't mean the legalese, the legal policy has been implemented in a standardized structure. So there are things to work out. And then when you're looking at paradigm, in terms of the dominant hegemony, that's where it's coming from, and then it's released to the public. And so you usually have colonization, imperialism issues with that. So when you have censorship, right? Art, we don't fear it, but it's a constraint, like time constraints within Instagram. It's a constraint in terms of what you're able to express and those realities. So what I've decided that I'd like to do is the sex education part regarding trust law. I had mentioned Cardi B had this statement about she made this statement about in terms of Nipsey Hussle's death, that Miss London didn't like bag him financially, and I think that's a pejorative term, because we're moving into a different era where we don't really need the male and the female principle anymore to create cohesion in terms of financial security. We're really moving into trust law, so that we can actually create contracts that should have the same legal status of marriage contracts, but they're based on the group, so based on collective as opposed to the male and the female principle. Because just with the history of Catholicism to slavery, then you had before you had the introduction of Christianity and the politicization of Christianity, you had more polygamous types of marriages. So you had, the retaining, the financial retaining of the familial power, and then when you had the end of the feudal system, you moved more into what not monogamous, but monogamous based on religion. So Christianity had a lot to do with that, and it was more legal, financial, and then you have the fiat system that created this paradigm shift. So you had the control of the merchants and the mercenaries and the pirates, as opposed to the feudal system regulating partnerships and things like that. So now we are moving into an era where we can reflect on the past, and we're getting the information to do that, and then we have this sexual fluidity in terms of the way that we're interested in teaching the generations to come. And that has, again, like I said, it's great that we can focus on these things, but you really want to be moving from your yoni lingus up, to stimulate the pineal gland to awaken your consciousness. So within that conscious structure, we're actually looking at more at collective organizations in terms of buying power, in terms of land ownership, and then utilizing that land to create employment opportunities when it comes to birth certificates, things like that. So what I'm going to do is release information regarding sex that I wanted to focus on. I also mentioned I was going to look at tips if you're interested in, or if you're interested or you're involved in more, not necessarily famous, but famous, artistic, powerful relationships. So sometimes, like right now, I'm more interested in saying, okay, well, I don't necessarily have boyfriends. I have sex partners, and I'm of the age. Like I'm in my mid 30s. I'm almost 40 years, so I can freely talk about that. But when I'm 15, 17, 19, 25, it's a little bit harder because you're dealing with younger groups, and I've always had difficulty with people my age, but more so youth younger than me. But because of the way I look, I attract a lot of young people. So it's very hard to articulate when I find that because school structures you based on age, right? And then if that doesn't work out for you, like for me, most of my friends are older than me because of my where I am in my family structure. So on my mom's side, I'm the youngest, and I was raised by her, being the nation I came from. So most of my friends would be spanning from 15 years because my oldest sister, and I was very close with her, is at least 13 years older than me. And then I have another sister who's a lot older. And then my parents are old, and then my stepdad's older. So I'm okay with dealing with older people, and I have that maturity. So the people in terms of the sex partners, the relationships that I would attract would be much older, and it would cause a lot of issues when I needed to talk to someone. I had to talk to someone, at least 13 years older than me. And then when I dealt with people around my age, I was just like, I'd rather just shut up because you're not going to get it. It's going to be embarrassing for you, and you're going to look at my life like it's entertainment, like profile of what you would see in all of those Esquire kind of things, right? And it's my life, and I've dealt or I've attracted very, very powerful people. So I can't just release that information to the public. Not that I don't it's not that I don't care in terms of I'm a very transparent parent person. That's not really part of my personality, but I come from a trained class. And like I said, I'm not just your regular person based on my family and who they are. So I don't have the privilege to be free. And it's not that based on my opinion, it's just based on who I am. And sometimes when you release certain information, there's children involved, there's other people involved who may be hurt and may not be able to understand. So I'm of the age now. I'm not going to necessarily get into personal things, but I am just going to be releasing this series when it comes to sex, marriage, partnerships, trust law. I'm going to do that in segments because I feel like it's a good thing to do, but I also want to make sure that I'm covering the stats because I think stats are very, very important than just going by my opinion of how I feel and what I want to share. Because we're looking at, again, paradigm shifts. You're looking at creating these things based on finance. And that's what I find that when you look at the LGBTQ plus or whatever community, and then you're involving the general population based on monogamy or whatever. The thing that gets left out, because we always want to talk about sex, is the finance and the social security. So my thing is, it's not like, I think the better term is just some people might have monogamous relationships and maybe comfortable having boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. I come from a polygamous family. Like I said, it's not by choice. And then you have to deal with what you're attracting. So, and that I think was a big issue because people would just assume that because I come from a polygamous family, that I'm going to be polygamous. Whereas like I come from a traditional family, so and not a polyamorous family. So finance and social security is a part of that, meaning that like I'm not going to just be with a partner who's polyamorous. You know, I would prefer to be with a partner who's polygamous because